Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jackson Solomon, and today we are going to be recapping some of the best games from this weekend. I have my college football top 25. Just to put it out there, there are some major changes coming. My NFL power rankings and my Thursday night football prediction. So I'm just going to get straight into it. But before, I want to remind you to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Also, last week, I believe it was, when I made predictions, I got a little help from one of my buddies, Mr. Brody Gross. I'm not sure if you guys remember the Brody Gross episode. I did get him. He said he wanted to come back, and I said, you know what? I'm down for that. So, just if I could find it, I asked him to give me his predictions for this weekend's games. So just give me a second to pull it up here. Nope. This is taking me a quick second. Yeah. It's taking me a quick second, but he gave me his predictions for this weekend's games. And he did predict a couple of games. I just can't find where I put it. So because I did not record an episode for that weekend. If I do find it, which I'm sure I will, it's got to be in here somewhere. So this is kind of rough, but he gave me some predictions for this weekend's games. One of the predictions he gave me was Georgia Tech over Clemson. We're going to talk about that game in a little bit. Yeah. Shout out Mr. Gross for doing that with us. Might get his predictions again for this week because, like I said, we didn't do a show last week. And one other very special person that... So basically, week by week, I plan on asking one person for their weekend predictions. I'm still going through some technical issues right now, so I won't be able to do a one-on-one conversation asking them what their predictions are. But just so you know, I do plan on having other people give their predictions. It's not just my opinion, but it'll be other people's as well. This week, we'll have two people. Like I said, Brody and probably another dear friend of mine. And also, next week, I got some people lined up that I want to ask. Also, coming up soon is a little, trivia question. I like doing the trivia questions for the show. Those will be their own separate episodes. Trivia questions, maybe a debate question, question that people will debate. So, but yeah, that's kind of some updates with the show, some things that are going on, and just gonna jump straight into the recap of this weekend's games. We're gonna start in college with Georgia and Tennessee. This was much better than the game in 2022. Georgia was on the road at Tennessee this Saturday, taking on the Vols. They got the scoring started 7-0 on a Joey Aguilar 4-yard run. Gunnar Stockton answered with a touchdown run, 7-7. Touchdown from Joey Aguilar. Excuse me, I don't know why I said Joey. Joey Aguilar from Chris Brazel. And then another touchdown pass to Chris Basil from Joey Aguilar. So 21-7 at the end of the first quarter. The Dogs would answer with a touchdown field goal. So the score at halftime, 21-17. Dogs would come out of the half, score a touchdown thanks to Josh McCray for the 1-yard touchdown run. Peter Woodring would knock through a field goal. Then you had Chris Brazel catch another deep touchdown pass from Joey Aguilar. Peter Woodring would make a field goal. Touchdown from Braylon Staley from a 32-yard pass. Tennessee kicked a field goal. And then London Humphreys caught the touchdown with a couple minutes left in the game. Went for 2-point and got it. So the score was tied up 38-38 at the end of the half. Tennessee kicked the field goal, and Georgia won the game on a Josh McCray touchdown run. What to say about this game? Just a couple of talking points here. Biggest takeaway is these are two... Well, this is the first game of SEC play, so obviously there's going to be some growing pains. The SEC, because it was 21-7, and I was talking to my dad, and I was like, Rocky Top's whooping on these boys. And he's like, it's the SEC, son. You're not out of it till you're out of it. And that was very true about Georgia. So this is the 9th straight time that the Dogs have beaten the Vols. And a lot of people have been talking about this win for Georgia, how, this is a good win. But honestly... if you ask me, who's the best team in the SEC, it definitely ain't the Dogs right now. That defense had a tough time out there this Saturday. So it's definitely not the Dogs. Having to pick a best team in the SEC, I probably would have told you it was Tennessee or maybe a South Carolina. Alabama played really well, and Texas played really well too, but those are two teams with losses. You look at the SEC right now, A&M, one of the only other undefeated teams. I think they have a bye this week, though. But there's not a lot of teams in the SEC. I do like Vanderbilt. I like the story behind the Diego Pavia. I did say Oklahoma would be a sleeper team to watch, and they're proving that. Sleeper team that's going to come up and surprise a lot of people this year. So maybe they're the best team in the SEC right now. I won't say they have the best non-conference win, but outside of A&M, they really haven't played anybody in the non-conference. LSU is really good. I'd probably say LSU would be also in that conversation. But yeah, we're talking about Georgia right now, and I remember going into the season, there were a lot of question marks about what Georgia would be this year. Not one of the questions we asked was about their defense. Defense didn't look great, and so the offense it started to click eventually, and it started to get a pace. But maybe it's just me when I say this, but I can't give the Dogs the SEC title now because it's just too wide. It's right now it looks like LSU, and don't get me wrong. I feel like Georgia Bama is going to tell us a lot about those two teams. It did tell us a lot about how Georgia's season would go. Is how they would be down, but they were going to fight. That's what that game last year told us. It also told us that Alabama was a threat for the playoff at times, but Kalen DeBoer's decisions were shaky, especially after the game and the games following that one. Kalen DeBoer, look, we're going to talk about Alabama for a little bit. Kalen DeBoer, undefeated against ranked teams, hasn't lost to a ranked opponent. But all of his losses at the program have come versus unranked teams. He beat Georgia. He beat LSU. I don't think they played Ole Miss last year, but they probably would have beat Ole Miss. They lost to Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Michigan, and this year Florida State. So not great for Kalen DeBoer. On Tennessee's side of things, I was kind of surprised because they didn't move in the rankings, it's fair because you played a heck of a game, and just because your kicker missed doesn't, you shouldn't be punished for that. They played a good game. They played good defense for about one quarter. Yeah, one quarter of good defense, and then the rest of the game was kind of Georgia. So, but yeah, Tennessee, I think, is really up in the conversation for the SEC championship. Oklahoma also in the conversation for the SEC championship, and LSU. Those are three teams in the SEC that I would keep my eye on. And Tennessee's schedule gets tough because they got to play Bama, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt at the end of the season, and I know a lot of people aren't gonna take this well, but Florida, because it's at Florida. That's why Florida. I think Florida is still a tough team to beat. Okay, next game that we are going to talk about is A&M versus Notre Dame. What to say? Well, okay, so we're going to start with the scoring breakdown, which was touchdown to start off Notre Dame opening series. It was a block punt. That's what it was. It was a block punt. Mario Craver caught a deep touchdown pass from Marcel Reed. That's my boy. I'm an Aggie guy this year, so that's my team that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. So Jadarian Price, touchdown run, field goal from Notre Dame, touchdown by A&M, touchdown by Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love got in the end zone. Le'Veon Moss scored back-to-back touchdowns to close out the half, 28-24 halftime score. Jadarian Price with a touchdown run, then back-to-back field goals from both sides. 3 field goals in a row from both sides. Jeremiah Love, touchdown run, and then Nate Borkshire with the game-winning touchdown from Marcel Reed. Kick was good. So I'm just going to be honest with this game. Notre Dame 0-2, rough start to their season, especially after following a national championship appearance. But this is kind of, you guys remember how the Eagles made the Super Bowl in 22, or I think it was 23. They made the Super Bowl in 23, lost to the Chiefs. That year they lost both their coordinators, and they didn't get much better. Right? Same thing applies to Notre Dame this year. They made the national championship. They didn't win the national championship. And now they have a new coordinator in the building, and I'm not going to say he doesn't know the players, but it's a different culture. It's a different system, and it's a different culture. And so when it's a different culture than the way you ran things last year, it's a completely different change. It's going to be difficult to adjust, and it just makes things a little bit more difficult. Yeah, it makes things a little bit more difficult. So to put this in simple terms, right? Notre Dame's defense has not impressed me this year. They've not played good. And the issue is in the secondary, which was one of the biggest strengths for Notre Dame last year, and they lost Benjamin Mortensen. Meanwhile, Xavier Watts is balling out on the Falcons. I don't know where Benjamin Morrison went, but those were the two best players in your defensive secondary, and they're both gone alongside your coordinator. And completely new defense, completely different skill players, and the defense got worse. And I had a feeling A&M was going to go to Notre Dame, but I'm like, it's the Notre Dame home opener, bro. They can't lose. So, but they lost, unfortunately. So, yeah, and A&M's. It was good because you saw, Notre Dame was able to run the ball. Jeremiah Smith had 100 yards, although they did come on 20 carries, so that wasn't great. But he had 2 touchdowns. Jadarian Price I'd say he's the leading rusher with 12 carries for 60 yards. and a couple of touchdowns. But you were able to see Notre Dame play to their strengths from last year. This is good. It's progress, because week 1 you didn't really see that. It was more, okay, CJ Carr is going to throw the ball a lot. But week 2, it's kind of like, okay, we're starting to find a balance leading to more towards the run game side. But the offensive line, it's a giant question mark, because it's not as good as it was last year. The defense, especially that secondary, which looks a lot like Michigan State's secondary. I hate to say it, but it does. It looks a lot like Michigan State's secondary. Did not play great. So, obviously, there's a lot of things to work on. And Notre Dame's schedule the rest of the way is pretty easy. You got Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, SC. That's USC. Sorry. NC State. And then the rest of the schedule. You got Navy. That's good, probably. They're undefeated, so. But man, who would have predicted that Notre Dame and Kansas City were winless to start the Big 25? I couldn't have predicted it, honestly. My takeaways on A&M. You threw the ball a lot, which is kind of not great, considering your running back had 3 touchdowns on 81 yards on 20 carries. But A&M, their defense didn't look this great this game, but I'm not willing to rule out as just not as good. Okay, I'm willing to see kind of what they're working with in the upcoming weeks. I think they have a bye this week, but they're going to play more competitive opponents than Notre Dame. But yeah, a great. But A&M, they got off to the tough start, which isn't, great. You don't never want to get off to a tough start, but yeah, they were able to win the game. Special teams really won it for them. So there's that. A&M, I'm looking at their schedule now. Auburn next week. They got Florida, LSU, Missouri, and Texas. And I didn't think I mentioned A&M as one of the best schools in the SEC. And if I didn't, I apologize, because I do think A&M's one of the best teams in the SEC. Your defense can't give up 40 points in SEC play, though. I know you don't play Alabama, and Alabama might be one of the teams. Alabama, maybe Tennessee, 2 of the teams that I would trust to put up 40 points in an SEC game. You don't play either one of those teams, which is good, which means that nobody else on your schedule should really allow more. You shouldn't really allow more than 40 or at 40 points. And that's going to be my expectation for A&M this year. Next game, it's kind of crazy because NFL posted this as their game of the week. Cowboys versus Giants. High-scoring game. I was talking to, basically I said that Malik Neighbors is going to have himself a game because Deron Bland's out. And final score doesn't really show, or the box score really shows Malik Neighbors' stats. So let's go. 2 field goals to start off for the Giants. Cowboys answer with a field goal. Touchdown Giants. Touchdown Cowboys. 13-10 the halftime score. Javonte Williams with a 30-yard touchdown run. Are we serious? Javonte Williams has 3 rushing touchdowns in the Big 25. I mean, who could have seen it coming? Graham Gano had a field goal. Same thing with Brandon Aubrey. Cam Scottaboo got his first career rushing touchdown. Rushing touchdown for Miles Sanders. Giants would answer with just an absolute bomb dime from Russell Wilson. George Pickett's got a pass on the goal line. Now there's a minute left, and the Giants are down 4. Doesn't matter. Russell Wilson aired it out. Malik Neighbors caught it. He wasn't even looking at the ball. I saw the replay. The defender covered his eyes. But Malik Neighbors catches it, 37-34. Brandon Aubrey knocked the field goal through the field goal posts, and then knocked another one through in overtime to win the game for the Cowboys, 40-37. Okay. 2 teams that look rough. I definitely think there's a chance the Cowboys can lose this week. But they didn't run the ball a lot. This wasn't really a balanced offense. It was pass oriented, which is good because when your quarterback, it's good when your quarterback completes more than 30 of his passes. At 52 passes, you're able to complete more than 30. That's really good. Lamb had a big game. Ferguson had a big game. Can't say the same for Pickens or really any of the other receivers, but Pickens had a touchdown. I was talking about Malik Neighbors earlier. Great game. 167 yards on 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and on 13 targets. That is really good. Cam Scatterboot, you love to see him running it. So, really, these are two deep teams that really don't have playoff hopes. I mentioned I had the Cowboys winning the division. I kind of hope that I still don't. That I don't. Just checking. I do. Okay. So, hopefully that Eagles Super Bowl slump hits hard because right now they're 2-0 and things are not looking good for my Cowboys prediction. But, the secondary was very depleted, didn't play its best, and Kyer Elam didn't look great, so he's gonna have a lot of work to do. And really, with the Cowboys, they play the Bears this week. The main focus for Dallas is Rome Odunze, but DJ Moore can hurt you too. Lions, I feel like every time DJ Moore plays the Lions, he has a good game. So they were able to limit the DJ Moore last week. The Lions were not the Rome Odunze. He had 2 touchdowns last week, and that is going to be the Cowboys' primary assignment. Now for the Giants, you play the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. It's your home opener, and the Chiefs are also winless. Do I think you're going to win? That depends on if Xavier Worthy plays or not. Because I do think without the Chiefs having a stable run game, and I'm going to talk about Chiefs-Eagles in a second. Without the Chiefs having a stable run game, it's going to be, easier because there's a good chance that they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, primarily to Kelsey, which means your linebackers, your safeties, probably going to be a lot of double teams for him. And then the receiving core doesn't look great because you have Tyquan Thornton starting alongside Hollywood Brown, and I don't know the third guy because I am a casual. Let me pull that up. But the receiving core right now for the Chiefs is weakened, and so there's an opportunity there for the Giants to take over, to kind of to take. I'm saying take over. There's an opportunity there for New York to win the game. Although they aren't favored, these are 2 winless teams. Chiefs look like the better team statistically. There is, there's a good chance. Juju, that's what I was looking at. Okay, so, but, you're going to need a lot of players in your secondary to step up. Dak didn't really have, CeeDee Lamb didn't have a touchdown. George Pickens did, though. So, Giants defense has to be on point. We know the pass rush will be on point. I don't know about their secondary. That's the only thing that concerns me heading into Chiefs week. But if you can generate pressure, go for it. Why not? Why even play defense when you can have 3 defensive edges and 1 D tackle? Yeah, that's the only thing that frustrates me about the Giants. They have Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns. I understand that Brian Burns isn't going to be there for the long term unless they paid him, and I just don't know about it. But, is Abdul Carter supposed to replace Brian Burns? Or, it's just confusing to me. Okay. Next game. I said I would talk about it. Chiefs versus Eagles. Okay. I watched the entirety. Yeah, I watched the entirety of this game up to like the 2 minute, which is the same thing I did for the Lions game. So, um, the way I would describe this game is probably like, okay, so touchdown for the Eagles. Chiefs answer with a touchdown, and Patrick Mahomes runs it in from a couple of yards away. Jake Elliott knocks in a field goal. Jake Elliott hits another field goal. A tush push touchdown for Jalen Hurts, and Tyquan Thornton catches a bomb from Mahomes to win the game. Or not to win the game, but to make it close. And the Eagles would get the ball back. They would take the rest of the time off the clock. So, what I'm thinking is, the Eagles' offense kind of seemed, I'm not going to say unstoppable, because there were points in the game where, okay, Kansas City's defense just got to stop, go score Mahomes, and they just weren't able to do that. So I'm not going to say unstoppable, but I'm going to say they looked pretty good in this game because they were able to move the ball down the field, able to complete passes. So they looked, the Eagles looked really, really good. Can't say the same about the Chiefs' offense, although their defense, and Brady talked about it on the broadcast. He said there were so many opportunities. I'm paraphrasing here. There were so many opportunities for the Chiefs last year where they were able to just gamble on offense, and their defense would bail them out. So far, their defense hasn't really bailed them out. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. Defensively, I mean, this is, you strive for, I can't find it right now. You strive to get off the field on third down. You strive to get turnovers. You strive to do this and that. And I haven't seen it from Kansas City. They have no turnovers this year. I'm being dramatic. They have no interceptions this year. No interceptions. They're not great on third down. They're 9 for 26. That's 34% on third down. Not great. Right? So it's really, the defense isn't the same one it was last year. And that's kind of the year-to-year basis when we talk about teams need to be consistent. They need to be this. They need to be that. That's kind of what we're talking about. Right? And so, and it's 100% true in the case of Kansas City where the defense has not been as good as it was last year. It's got to be more consistent. Offensively, there's no running game. Mahomes is your leading rusher. That's not great. And so it's hard to identify the biggest problem with this Chiefs team because it's not they've played bad, because they've played good. It's just that they're not playing as good as they did last year. And this is straight factual. The Lions and the Chiefs both had 15 wins last year. The only, one of the major differences between these teams is the Lions lost both their coordinators last year. The Chiefs didn't really lose anybody. I mean, they kept their guys, but they didn't lose any coordinators. Spagnuolo's still there. So what I'm saying is, Kansas City, I don't think they're a bad team. There are a lot of problems with the Chiefs right now. A lot of big-time issues. But they're not bad by any means. And schedule's only going to get tougher. There's a lot of primetime games on the schedule, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. They have never had a 3-game losing streak with Mahomes. I mean, I believe it. Like Mahomes rarely even loses back-to-back games. The fact that he would lose like 3 straight, that's kind of crazy. But yeah. Chiefs have lost 3 in a row. Gotta be better, guys. I mean, we gotta be better. But we're gonna talk more about the Eagles when we get to the power rankings for the NFL. But that's gonna do it for the recap of the games. I got the rankings. Okay, so is what I got up next, but I forgot to talk about the upset of the week, which is a new segment. Or not a new segment, really, but something new that I mentioned. 2 of the most shocking upsets in college football, really, and in the NFL this week. I'm going to talk about Georgia Tech. They beat Clemson to start off. I didn't list one for the NFL. I feel like I should have. But there were like really no real big time upsets. I guess you could say the Colts, but the Colts are really good right now. So, but I'm gonna stick to what we have in front of us, which is Georgia Tech versus defeats Clemson with the overtime kick. I was a little surprised to see that Georgia Tech was winning through a certain point in the game, and Clemson was losing. But Clemson came back. I think they had the lead at one point in the game, and then Georgia Tech came back and tied the game. Georgia Tech could be a real sleeper team to talk about in the ACC. Clemson, well, I'm just going to be honest. Clemson won this division last year with 3 or 4 losses. So I fully trusted Dabo's team to at least make the playoff. It's not over if you have 2 losses, but I still expect them to make it. With the 2 L's that they have. Also, Vanderbilt, they beat South Carolina. That was an upset. South Carolina ranked team, no longer ranked. But Vanderbilt, I mean, that's a big time surprise. But you know what? Diego Pavia, I trust him now. I mean, geez, man, he was balling. Okay, my rankings starting. We had 5 teams drop out of my rankings this week. I'm going to start highest to lowest. Clemson fell out. Notre Dame fell out. South Carolina, South Florida, and Florida all dropped from the rankings. Disappointing losses. South Florida got embarrassed. Notre Dame's defense doesn't look good. I'm worried about Clemson. I couldn't keep them in there with 2 losses. And then South Carolina lost big time this week, and just there was no space left for South Carolina. They fell from 13 to outside, and I usually don't want to drop teams from like 8 out, but I'm doing it special in this case because Clemson has 2 losses. Notre Dame has 2 losses. South Carolina doesn't have 2 losses. I think the first one was just shocking. USF, tough opponent in front of them, so not surprised. Okay, we're going to start with 30. I have Clemson here. I'm not going to explain much about Clemson being at number 30. It's really just a point where I can't move them down any further, and I feel like they're still a close team, a team that's going to be in close contention. These are the honorable mentions, obviously, so at 30. If they, ranking the honorable mentions, Clemson would be number 30. I didn't put Nebraska in here, although they did play good defense. So Nebraska's not in here. They're also part of the honorable mentions. I just didn't rank them. Number 29 is Navy. Number 28 is Tulane. 2 unbeaten teams in the American Conference. Can't wait to see how that plays out and if that division is going to be the one to get a out of conference or get that group of 5 spot in the playoff. Here's the issue. I don't think Navy really plays anybody until we get to Notre Dame, and Tulane plays Ole Miss this week. So potential upset alert for Ole Miss. You'll definitely be hearing that in my weekend predictions. definitely going to be a game I'm going to pick. Mississippi State is number 27, big time win over Arizona State, and number 26 Notre Dame. Offense looked really good. Their defense is bad, but I feel bad about just taking them completely out of the rankings. I still think they're good enough to fit in the honorable mentions. Team that's not in the honorable mentions, Michigan State. So if you're a Michigan State fan, I don't know why you're talking to me, because you don't have any votes in the AP. You're not even making my top 10. So Michigan State fans, there's a lot to worry about defensively. Hopefully you beat UCLA, and I'm saying hopefully. 25, I have Arizona State. I feel like they didn't play bad this week, so I'm not going to drop them from the rankings, but I didn't move them up either. We got 5 new unranked teams. Number 24 is Missouri. Number 23 is Vanderbilt. Number 22 is USC. Number 21 is Auburn. And number 20 is Georgia Tech. I'm going to go up the list. Missouri. Big time win over an undefeated Kansas team, although the game was at home. Your schedule is going to get tougher. I don't really have it right down in front of me. Let me see if I can figure out who they're going to play. I believe they play Alabama. I know they play Arkansas. Arkansas, nothing to sleep on. They play South Carolina this week. They play Bama at home. Go to Auburn. Go to Vandy. A&M comes to your place at Oklahoma. Now, if you win all those games, you're top 10 potentially in the SEC championship. Not potentially in the SEC championship. You're in the SEC championship. We're talking about you for a playoff spot. If you don't win some of those games, but you lose some and you win some, I feel like you'd still be in that conversation. So Missouri, definitely a team to watch. Vanderbilt beat South Carolina. Look really good. Diego Pavia is really good. I think one thing that shocked a lot of people last year was Vanderbilt's defense. That's something that a lot of people really didn't, expect out of Vanderbilt this year. The Commodores playing much better defense this year. I don't even think they gave up that many points to South Carolina. I think when I was checking the score, I was watching the Notre Dame game. I was checking the score. They had only given up 6 points, but they have won, 31-7. So kind of beat the brakes off of them. 22 is USC, and I'm only putting USC in here is because I saw on game day that they have scored the most points of any FBS school this year, which is an insane stat, a surprising stat to me. Didn't even believe it, but when you play Missouri State week 1, and I don't know, let's just say Hawaii for the heck of it week 2. It's pretty easy to run up the score, especially when your players are better than theirs. Number 21 is Auburn. I should have given Auburn more respect after the Baylor win. I feel like everybody should have respected them, but I didn't. I wanted to see if it was true. I wanted to see it before I believed it. And a couple of good games. We're going to find out the real test this weekend, the Jackson-Arnold revenge game, Saturday at Norman. Not even the toughest game because Bama is also on their schedule. But the defense does look better, much improved from last year, which is something that, there's been a lot of people talking about. But yeah, at Norman, that's a big-time game. Then you go at A&M. You won that game last year. Deep South's oldest rivalry with Georgia. You get that game at home. Already mentioned the Missouri-Auburn game, Vandy. And then last game of the year, you played Bama. So Auburn's schedule, just like Missouri's, no joke and no time to relax. And Georgia Tech pulling off a massive upset win over Clemson, knocking them out of the top 25 and putting themselves in an undefeated. I put them in the honorable mentions a couple of weeks in a row. I wanted to see it before I believed it as well. This team looks like they're a real contender. But if there's one game that's just right in front of them that I could see them losing, upset game right here. Because their schedule is highly favorable. But there's a world where they don't make the ACC championship. There's a world where they lose a couple of games. NC State could definitely be one of them. Pitt and Georgia at the last game of the year. Those are games that they could all drop. in my opinion, those are like some trap games where Georgia Tech, you got to focus, lock in, limit mistakes, and you got to ball out. Number 19 is Michigan. They play at Nebraska this week. Excited for that game. Big time game right there. 3:30 on the good old CBS. You love to see it. They're ranked 19th. Big time win this weekend over Central Michigan. But Tennessee, I moved them down, what does it say, 3 spots? They're 2-1. They take on UAB this week. Like in the AP poll, they didn't move. And I feel like that's a good call. A lot of people might have kind of left them where they were after the Georgia game, which is cool. A little bit controversial. I would have moved them down maybe 1 or 2, but well, I guess that's not true because I moved them down 3. But I had so many teams move up this week. A couple of big time teams. So yeah, Tennessee, they played good offensively, defensively. They didn't really give up big plays. It was just Georgia had long drives, ended them with field goals, stuff like that. Ole Miss is number 17. They play Tulane this week. That's a big-time game. Definitely going to be on this week's slate. Potential upset there. I'm kind of trying to make my mind over what we're going to do with Ole Miss because I didn't really believe in them at the beginning of the season. I thought this defense was not going to be as good as it was last year. Austin Simmons might not be that guy. Still need to see it. Obviously, Tulane being your biggest test so far. I don't want to say your biggest test, but I mean, I haven't really seen much fight from Kentucky. So there's that. But that's a big time game. Arguably your toughest opponent so far. I could walk down, who they're going to play, but it's, I'm sure we already know. But that's a big time game. Alabama moves up to number 16. It moved up 5 spots. I watched the opening drive of the second half for Alabama, Wisconsin, and then I switched it back to Michigan. The trickeration is there. I love to see it. And on the broadcast, they were talking about how good Ty Simpson played. I didn't really see it firsthand, but he must have balled out. I think they said he completed his first 15 passes. He was doing this. He was doing that. Great player and great grind. I don't think I'm using that right. What a comeback for Ty Simpson after that week 1 game where I was questioning, is he Alabama's quarterback? Next big test comes up in 2 weeks when you go to Athens. That biggest test of the season. So up to that point, actually, I think they get LSU at home. So, yeah, that might be your toughest game all year for Alabama. You got to be ready for that one. Utah takes on Texas Tech. I got Utah at 15, undefeated. Big time win over UCLA, but UCLA might just be one of the worst teams in the country, especially on defense. I talked about it. Now, Nico, it's a little rough. It's a little rough over there for Nico Imalieva and his brother. So, we're going to find out about Utah or about UCLA in the coming weeks. Utah, I feel like we already know enough about. They're cooking right now. Big time game at home versus Texas Tech. That's the key factor. At home. It's not on the road. It's at your place. Florida taking on Kent State. Florida State is number 14. They play Kent State this week, undefeated. They had the bye week last week. I expect them to kind of dominate offensively as well as defensively. Really expect a big-time win from Florida State this week. 13 is Indiana. This is another game you can expect to see on the slate as they travel to Illinois. You can expect this game to be on the slate. I'm excited for it. I'm sure the entire college football world is excited for it. But we're going to see Curt Cignetti versus Luke Altmaier. And that's going to be a big-time game right there. Number 12, I got Texas Tech. They're traveling to Utah. I believed in Texas Tech before I believed in Utah. That's the only reason why I have Texas Tech ranked above them. But this is, Big Noon Kickoff is going to be there. That's a big time game. Definitely going to pick the winner of that game. Right there. I can't believe I'm saying that much. But yeah, that's going to be a big time game. Oklahoma taking on Auburn. I have Oklahoma number 11. Undefeated, underrated. There's a really good chance, depending on what happens in the Illinois versus Indiana game. The game's at Illinois. I'm pretty sure. Oklahoma could be inside the top 10. And that would be the first time they're inside the top 10 in a long time. Yes. That's the first time Oklahoma be ranked inside the top 10 in a long time. They're really good. Play good football, offensively, defensively, able to get stops. Love Oklahoma. And like I said, they're my sleeper pick to win the conference this year. So keep that in mind. All right, next. Number 10, Texas A&M. You beat a top 10 team, you get inside the top 10. Last week, 11, I think 13 and up, nobody moved. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, or 10 and up at least, no one moved. A lot of movement inside the top 10 this week. So Texas A&M, they're the biggest change. Good win this week. The only thing is you have to continue to repeat the success. I love Mike Elko. I believe in Mike Elko as head coach at A&M. They have the bye this week. They get SEC play coming up in a couple of weeks. Illinois is number 9, undefeated. Taking on Indiana this week. Big time game. I believe. I'm just checking this now. So if you give me a moment, but Illinois, as soon as the season got kicked off, I loved Illinois. I believed in Illinois, and I'm excited for this Illinois team. Can't wait to see what they're going to do throughout the course of the season. But Indiana, I mean, this is the toughest game for these two teams right here. The game's in Bloomington. Might influence my pick a little bit. But this is the toughest game for both sides right here. Oh, I take it back. Indiana plays Penn State. So Indiana's going to have some tough competition. Illinois, they're already inside the top 10. And they're basically banking, like, if you win this game, banking on an easy strength of schedule. Toughest matchup, Ohio State. That's it. I don't really see USC as your biggest weakness right now. Number 8 is Iowa State. Move them up a couple of spots. Number 3 in the country. And then inside the top 10, nothing's changed. Texas is 6. Texas is 7. Oregon is 6. Miami's 5. LSU's 4. Georgia's 3. Penn State's 2. And Ohio State is number 1. Those are my college football rankings for week number 4. All right, we got a couple more things before we wrap the show up. Let's start off with the NFL power rankings. No winless teams are in this list. So if you're a Chiefs fan, you got to keep stepping. Also, no Cowboys in this list. And everybody everybody that has to be above 6 at this point in the season right now is undefeated. So there's that. So starting off with number 10, the 49ers. Really good win against the Saints. I'm just gonna say it because I think we're all thinking it. It's the Saints, but it was Mac Jones. So I mean that's tomato right there. Can't pick this up. I got to look at the 49ers schedule, but it was the Saints. Purdy's coming back in a couple of weeks, so things shouldn't be that difficult for you. I finally got it up here. Okay, let's see. Cardinals this week. Jaguars coming up. Like, you're going to have some tougher competition than the Saints. I think the Saints are a bottom 5 team in the NFL right now. So, good win. Yes, you're undefeated 2-0, but just remember you beat the Saints and the Seahawks. Saints might be bottom 5, and you always get the best of the Seahawks. Early in the season, it's, we're trying to still figure out who they were, and, you always beat them, so I'm not really surprised or proud of that win. I'm going to say the same thing about number 9, the Lions. I got them at 1-1, number 9 on this list. I'm not going to say I'm not impressed with the win because not everybody in the NFL dropped a 50 burger this week. As a matter of fact, I think the Lions are the only team to put 50 up. Not even the Bills did it, but it's the Bears. Tough competition. Not really. I mean, they're not playing on the same level as you. They're in a rebuilding phase, this phase where, okay, we have to figure out who we're going to keep here. You're in the phase where we're trying to win a Super Bowl, right? So it's not really, I wouldn't say it's not really fair, but like you guys are in 2 completely different stages, 2 completely different teams. And so while they're trying to figure out who they are going to be this year as well as the future, you're trying to figure out who you are this year. And you beat him up pretty bad, and you just kind of left him on the floor crying for mom. Number 8, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know why I have the Rams so low. But it's the same thing I said with the Lions and the 49ers. Quality of your win is probably going to tank you on this list. In which case, I should not have a certain team so high. But doesn't really... quality of your win, you beat the Titans and the Texans. And 2 teams that are winless at this point in the season. So, you're going to be lower on the list. This is, I love this. This is exactly like college football, the college football rankings. Except it's not. It's NFL. And it's a much shorter list to save time. Number 7, I have the Ravens. Good win, but once again, we're talking about quality wins here. You played the Browns. I mean... Dylan Gabriel could have played the entire game. Score would have probably ended up the same. So, yeah. And that's nothing against Dylan Gabriel or Joe Flacco. It's just Browns right now are in the same boat as the Bears and the Saints, trying to figure out who you are this year as well as years to come in the future. And the only difference between the Bears and the Saints and the Browns is 2 first-year head coaches in the Saints and the Bears. Number 6 is the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay. Good win the other night. It was a good win the other night. Baker Mayfield, very clutch, and I have him. If you recall, I have him winning MVP. So, if you don't hate, obviously, but I have Baker Mayfield winning the MVP. So there's that. And he's playing like an MVP caliber player. You love to see it. So Baker for MVP, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5, I have the Colts. And if you just watch the Colts offense, I mean, it flows so smoothly. I don't know why I said smoothly. No punts throughout the first 2 weeks of the season. The only team I believe that has done that. And they're playing really nice football. So who could believe it? Daniel Jones having a better record than Patrick Mahomes in 2025. Who could have even imagined Daniel Jones would be starting in the Big 25? But you know what? Let's ride with Indy, baby. Indiana Jones. Let's ride with him. Number 4, I have my Chargers. Quality of your wins. You're beating up 2 winless teams. Not very good, but you still look better than the Colts, and I feel like you're an actual contender rather than the Colts. Actually, I think the Colts are contenders. I just like the Chargers more. I'm just going to say that. Plus, the Chiefs, I wouldn't say a fully healthy worthy, but, he was, Mahomes still had some targets to throw the ball to. Number 3, I have the Packers. Good win Thursday night, but they're a little low on the list just for reasons I can't explain. two teams that are ahead of them played much, much better than they did. At number 2 is the Buffalo Bills. Blew out the Jets this week in Justin Fields. Also, hope Justin Fields is okay. I heard it's a concussion. He might not play this week. So I hope he stays healthy. And number 1 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Offense moved much smoothly. Defense played a really good football the first 2 weeks of the season. So offense looked better week 2 than it did week 1. But defense played out of its mind the first 2 weeks of the season. And they looked really, really good. Okay. Last thing before I sign off. Thursday night football prediction. Dolphins and the Bills. The game is in Highmark Stadium. Bills favored by 2 touchdowns. I have been pretty bad against picking the spread in NFL, so I'm not going to pick it right here. But I'm going to take the Bills to win the game. But yeah, that was it. Thank you so much for listening. I always enjoy doing this for you, the fan. So leave a like, subscribe, comment. I always enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to tune in to the next episode of The Jackson Show. And as always, bring a friend.